Very well.
Very well. You may now commence.
We may now commence. G'day, folks. It's Rob here.
And Bianca.
And Jack. And Jack hopefully will be entertained with some Mandarin, so we won't have too many issues with the cameras being knocked and everything. And I've got to try and stop looking at myself in the viewfinder, even though I just said that to you. By the way, it's not Christmas. It's just the bits and pieces on my microphone. We're here today to talk about some local-ish places we went and visited a couple of weeks back.
Yes.
One was west of here, just south of a small town called Gatton, which is an agricultural town at a place called Mount Whitestone. It's basically 100 acres of, what would you call it, Bianca?
Leg pain?
Leg pain. Very good reason. It's very hilly block. Would have been a bit of a pain for someone with short legs in particular to walk around.
Yes.
No infrastructure on this block
No.
at all.
No.
There was nothing. No bore, which is a well, and there was one dam or two dams, I think. So the elevation was massive. I don't know what it is exactly. It'll pop up there on the screen. One large fenced paddock. There was awesome views from the top. There would have been awesome views across the valley, and also too a no trespass, no hunting sign, which means there would have been possibly deer in that area there. It was around about the $450,000 mark, which would have meant we would have been spending about 2 to 3 just on a house. And then we would have probably had to pop in about another 150 for basic sheds. And then there's roads and wells and solar and all that sort of thing. So we just thought
Too much.
too much of a project, really. The other thing too, that area average rainfall was fairly low. It's just had to stop Jack eating some lavender. Bianca's drying. No. So the rainfall for that area is fairly low, pretty much all around the same as here, I think, which is under, around about 750 to 800 mils a year. Yeah, not the best rainfall, but still, we live with it here. Then again, we're on town water, not tank water. Now, the next one was further south again towards Warwick. Did you want to talk about this one, Bianca? This is the one with the shed.
What did you write there?
That's 67 acres.
Oh, it's a 7. It was 67 acres with a shed home. Inside, it was just a big shed open. Inside, there was a massive barbecue as a kitchen. Thought that was pretty cool. The shower head was attached to the walls. There was a water tank outside that fed through the fireplace so that you could have hot water.
Which was pretty cool. I like that idea. And it was walk in, walk out, so all that would have stayed with the shed.
Yep. And it had solar panels and batteries. But then next door to the shed, not far off, was a house with town power, septic system, and had tanks attached and everything.
Had a problem with the floor.
The floor. It was sort of rotten.
Yeah, the fireplace had gone all the way through.
Yep. It looked like if you gave it a good kick, it would fall off the stumps.
It was mostly made of asbestos walling on the inside.
But it was still hooked up to town power.
Yeah, still had town power. And as a result, there was a long extension lead leading to the shed
to
power the Wi-Fi. So that was funny. Yeah.
Yes. I'll
Jack.
have a visitor.
I'll give him some Mandarin. Come on, round this side. Come on, bud.
So
What you going to do?
it wouldn't have been cheap to remove the house, especially transporting asbestos for disposal.
Dumping fees are pretty expensive.
But it did have a windmill, which I quite liked.
On the bore.
Well,
that was over a creek a couple of 100 metres from the house, and it pumped up to the tanks behind the shed.
Yep, and there was quite a half-decent number of tanks.
Yep.
The property sort of elevation at the back went quite steep.
Very steep again.
You could walk it. I wouldn't feel comfortable in going up that in a vehicle.
There's Lantana up to the top of the hill. But as I pointed out to Bianca, you do all the hard yards in the morning climbing up the hill, and then you take the zip line down. Unlike the first property we looked at, where you take the zip line down to do your work and then climb back up in the afternoon. Still hasn't convinced Bianca though. No. Did have a couple of cleared paddocks. Like we could have run probably 5 to 10 head on the cleared paddocks.
Yeah, true.
There were cattle running up the hill, but yeah, just the chances of them getting lost and all sorts of things.
Yeah, and there was
no fence. That's right. The reason I said lost is the fence was dodgy up the hill and towards the back. Sorry, we don't have a lot of video for this, but it was just a little bit hard to get to the top of the hill. Also, too, I don't like videoing inside the homes when we visit places either. You got to respect people's privacy. So yeah,
But there was fencing. It was in need of a lot of work. The posts were okay though.
yeah. And the goat paddock was fully fenced. They had a goat paddock that was fenced because there's wild dogs in the area.
Yes, and we saw evidence of wild dogs.
Yes, big scat.
Um,
Saw a lot of
but-
wallaby scat too. And
Yes.
kangaroo scat.
but I did like it was really dark growing soil
Yes.
and it had a lot of volcanic rock, which I would have liked to have built things with.
Yeah, Bianca's got this thing for building things with rocks.
Yes.
So yes,
Um,
if any place has rocks, Bianca's in on it.
yes.
But in the end, we just decided, oh, that one, by the way, was 520,000.
Yep.
But when we came home and we did the rough estimate for disconnecting the power from the house, removal of the house, creating a new house, there's none left, Jackie boy.
Reconnecting the power, digging a new septic.
Yeah, all that. It blew out our budget, something pretty full on. I mean, we could have, like we've said on other places, we could have lived there and been happy by ourselves, hermits and that sort of thing. But we'd prefer to be able to do the workshops and have people come for farm stays and stuff like that.
And the living dwelling not having a toilet. I think the
Yeah.
bank might not have liked.
So anyway,
Yeah.
we said no to that one. Before we move on to the next property, just a quick shout out again to the folks at Living the Off-Grid Dream for letting us have an affiliate link to their course. They've actually sent me through a link to another course. It's the Hero one. It's a shorter workshop. Goes for about just over 2 hours. I've only just pressed play on it before filming this. I haven't actually seen all the way through that, but they are awesome in giving you suggestions at starting your own off-grid dream. They're talking about getting the property to pay for itself, whether you start with a bank loan like we are, or also gives you tips and pointers for accessing investors onto the property and a load of strategies there. So something we've definitely learned a fair bit from, the pair of us, even though Bianca probably shouldn't have been watching over my shoulder. But yeah, it is something we really do think that some folks out there will get a little bit of benefit from. I'll let you make up your own mind. There's links below. They take you to a video that explains it better than I can. So suss that out. And if you do that, you do use that link, we do get a little bit of commission to go towards buying our own off-grid dream. Well, actually, we'll probably buy a place on grid and we'll turn it off-grid because we're greedy. We want to keep all our power. So on to the next property.
On to the next
one. Now, next door to that one, literally next door, we had seen it online and bookmarked it, but we really didn't think about it. But as we were driving by to see the first house, we saw the sign and I went, hey, that's that other place we've been looking at. This place was 160 acres. The woman who owns it owns a number of cattle properties and she breeds and has won awards for her cattle at different markets and shows. So she wanted to buy a more cattle-friendly property with the proceeds from selling this on. There was a big cleared area that had been sown out by the neighbour, you know, these farm areas, everyone helps each other out. So he had sown it out with some barley as forage for the cattle. I think they've grown some hay crops there as well. So there's probably about 35 acres of cultivated that we could turn to pasture. And the rest of the 160 acres was up a hill again.
It's nice.
It was.
though.
Yeah, we hopped on the Agents Polaris and he took us up the back. And it was a great drive up there. Not as white knuckle as Sel's venture down the back of his property. The road was, you could see the road, even though it was very steep, a lot of washouts. But the view, once we got to the top, was absolutely awesome.
And there
Oh,
was
spectacular.
some really good flat areas where you could have done camping
Yeah,
or
yeah.
all sorts of stuff.
A little hut or something.
That actually would have been lovely. And there was
But-
a lot of rocks again.
There were lots of rocks. And every time it rained, it would have been very, very hard to keep that road nice for the people visiting and trying to get up there. Would definitely be a four-wheel drive only sort of situation. It was very steep in some spots, wasn't
Yeah, I was all right going up. Coming back was a little bit
it? Yeah.
holding on.
Yeah, this property, they basically grazed cattle all the way to the back, almost backed onto the other one that we were speaking about just before, right at the top of the hill.
It had that huge shed.
Yeah, it had a huge shed. Was a
With,
massive shed. It's a 27 meters by 8 meter machinery shed with a dirt floor, but concreted in.
Yep.
Had gutters, and it ran into 2 large tanks.
And it had a bore up the other end where the paddocks were.
That was unequipped. That was all hunky dory. We would have just had to run line above the back of the property where it was cropping. We would have had to run that back towards the shed. There was a house site cleared. Again, we would have had to have power connected. There was a pole on the property, no transformer. So we would have had to run that up to the house. Do I see 3 dams? No, sorry, there's 2 dams. One big one and smaller one further back.
I remember the big one at the front.
So that one again, with the shed, having to put all the infrastructure on, 595,000. It was just would have blown our budget. Again, we could have been happy there with a little humpy or something like that, but no, decided to pass on that one as well. So that's it for south of Ipswich. I don't think we'll be looking down there again. No, we have had a few people suggest we go look up around the Kingaroy area, but no, we'd probably like to stay closer to the coast if we're up that far, or if we are out west, probably no further than Crow's Nest, just north of Toowoomba, that sort of area up in there. Nanango, yeah,
it's getting a bit dry.
Bit dry, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to focus mainly on like from Sunshine Coast up. The places we've looked at that you'll see in the next video are South Colin and Bucka. So they're around Bundaberg. They are a little bit closer to Bundy for Bianca to go to work.
Yes.
And they did have half decent infrastructure on there we could have built on. So anyway, that's in the next video. We'll let you wait for that one.
Yes.
So hopefully that'll be by the end of the week. Just quickly, a huge thank you to everyone who's jumped on board and subscribed. 500 subscribers today. I know. I sent you a text. It's very surprising.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Basically, what we're trying to do is start 2 different channels, because I have the aquaponics channel and a backyard farming channel. And I know a lot of people on there don't want to hear about our farming and dirty soil growing. So I thought we'd do this, plus buying a farm and turning it into a homestead, which means a lot more. It means terrestrial animals like pigs and cows and sheep and goats and guinea pigs, as well as the aquaculture and aquaponics, but also growing in the ground.
Aquapoultry. Wet bird.
Aquaponics?
No.
So yeah, we thought we'd do the 2 separate channels. Plus Bianca will probably get into this one a lot more too, because she wants to do things like building rock walls or small rock buildings, the B&B side of things, the camping. So there'll be a little bit more involvement from Bianca. She's not really into kissing fish like me, so yeah.
It's a bit wet.
So there we go. But yeah, we will leave it there.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming along with the journey. We really appreciate it. And we will catch you next video.
Yes.
Yes, very soon. Cheers, folks, and take it easy.
Bye.